My name is Gino Rivera, the Frank Sinatra of the Spanish Mafia, the Puerto Rican Pitbull, the Latino Al Pacino. And you're now watching Championship on the Line podcast with Rich and Alex. Why? Because I told you so. Slam.
Hey, no problem, guys. How are you?
We're doing pretty good, man. How's everything going with since COVID happening? How's it been over there in Arizona?
Man, COVID's been treating me really well. I've got no complaints. I'm sorry for the guys that, have been going through some stuff and like that, but everything's been peachy, man. Everything's been good by the blessings of God. I'm happy. I'm safe. I'm healthy. I'm COVID-free. So 2020 has been a wild, rough year for a lot of people, but it's been good to me. It's been good.
And with booking, is it hard to get bookings, especially with COVID happening?
Not really. What I've been experiencing is more of like, whenever I get booked, things have been getting canceled. You know what I mean? Like, okay, you set a date, you get a booking, boom, next month it happens, and all of a sudden, a week or a couple days before the show, it just cancels, and you're like, oh gosh. So like everybody has hopes of like running and wanting to do a show. It's just with the governors and with all the the limited seatings and the mask thing and just everything, social distancing. It's just been one crazy year where it's been one cancel after another. I can tell you right now, I've probably had over about 10 to 15 cancels.
Oh, wow.
Pretty much a couple of months since March.
And that's like everywhere?
That's everywhere.
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
From my Florida bookings, Cali bookings, Arizona, Colorado, you name it. It's just all being canceled,
No, that's terrible. Even Alex and I, as fans too, here in California, they're constantly, announcing shows, and then a week prior they cancel it immediately.
That's unfortunate, but I do understand like everybody wanting to be safe.
Oh yeah.
I do understand everybody wanting to wrestle. I want to wrestle every single day of my life, and I've got a buddy out in Cali who's literally has not been booked since March.
Oh wow.
And that would be wrestling on the regular, and he cannot seem to catch a break. Like he'll message me and he'll be like, I got a booking, and all of a sudden a week later, I'm unbooked. What? Well, the show canceled. I'm like, oh gosh. So I feel for him, you know what I mean? But I've been blessed to wrestle pretty much every single month since this whole worldwide pandemic has gone down, at least one time,
Yeah. And which shows have you been wrestling for? What companies so far?
So I've been wrestling for Top of Texas, a few lucha shows, Lucha Frontera, AWF, Arizona Wrestling Federation. There's been a bunch of shows, and back to back, going back and forth. So.
Oh, nice. That's good. That's good to hear. Also, I just wanted to say, like, me and my brother, Rich, we actually saw you live wrestle like last year in the Cactus League in Pomona, in California.
Yes. I remember that show. That was where I beat Darren Young, Fred Rosser.
Yep.
Since, you know what I mean? Had to call an ambulance, you know what I mean? After, because he felt that beating real bad. Sent him so freaking, ass backwards, back home where he didn't even know his own name. So yeah, I remember that show.
And like that, like when you came out, like you were the heel, and like it was awesome. Like you spoke on the mic, and it was awesome. The match was awesome. You were awesome. Because I remember that show, like, not to put them down, but like the crowd was kind of dead.
Yeah.
In the beginning, and then when you came out, like it popped, So like with that match and everything, what were your thoughts like working with Darren Young?
with how can I say this? I love Darren Young. Darren Young is one of my closest friends in wrestling, besides like Chris Masters and even James Ellsworth is one of my buddies. But Darren Young is like one of my number one dudes, and working with him. Funny little story. I told it before, but I got to tell it again. Is that day in Pomona, he's pacing around and he's got this face of like nervousness, and I'm watching him and I'm like ribbing on my guys. I'm like, hey, look at Darren Young. he's afraid to get in the ring with me, bro. He's nervous. He knows about Gino Rivera. He knows I'm going to whip his ass. Look at him. And his eyes are like, he's just looking around. He's standing in the corner, and he's like, just going through his match in his head. And then, for me, I wasn't phased at all. I was like, I got this guy spooked. You know what I mean? I got a WWE superstar spooked, and then when we get out there, it's action to the point where I was barely keeping up. By the time I went to hit my finisher, I was sucking wind. I was gassed. I was tired. I was like, I can't do it, but I finished the match. You know what I mean? So I think he was ribbing me. I think he was trying to get me to go, like, I'm going to make this kid think I'm scared and I'm going to whoop his ass in the ring. And that's exactly what happened. So Darren Young, former WWE star, former NXT star, and now New Japan, he's working there. So, man, I love him. I talked to him the other day. He told me his dream match for 2021 was Santana Jackson, who's a Michael Jackson impersonator, and
nice.
him versus Danny Limelight and myself, Gino Rivera. So we got to make that happen before everybody starts getting signed and going their own way. So I look forward to it.
Yeah, that's cool. Like, especially with everyone signing and everything. Like, and also speaking of dream matches, what are your dream matches? Who do you want to face?
Okay, so I only have I'm going to say 3 dream matches, and I think only one can happen. So let's just start with the guy that got me inspired to be a wrestler was The Undertaker. And of course, that can't happen. I'm an Undertaker fan, a lifelong fan. I love Undertaker. Everything I do is because of him. He inspired me to be the wrestler I am. Another is, I'm going to save the best for last. So against Minoru Suzuki, which is
Oh, nice.
New Japan, which, of course, I don't ever know if that'll ever happen. The age gap, the distance, time, I would love to make that happen. Also, this one can happen, and it's against Psychosis.
Nice.
I watched it in WCW, and I know he's still lingering out there on the independents. So I'm in, like, prayer mode, like, 24/7 just to make that happen. I've actually had 2 occasions where it almost happened, and something fell through, or he was there for another guy, or whatever. But Psychosis would be right now my number 1 dream match. I've got to make it happen, or I'll die trying, and I'm going to make that happen before he retires, I hope. So that's there you go. So Minoru Suzuki, Undertaker, and Psychosis.
That's pretty cool. Like, all those names are 2 like really big names, especially like with Suzuki and the Psychosis. In your head, how would you plan those matches?
I would like to literally, with Minoru Suzuki, that's going to be a brawl. You know what I mean? He's not a high flyer. I'm a high flyer. You know what I mean? It's just going to be an all-out brawl, and I'm probably going to get my teeth knocked out even more. But the fact of me stepping into the ring with such a legendary star like Minoru Suzuki, who I've watched and beat the living hell out of his opponents, and when you hit him, he smiles, sticks his tongue out, and tells you, "Come on!"
Yeah.
Dude, in my matches, you know what I mean? I get it from Minoru. So, with Minoru, it'd be just an all-out brawl, but I don't see me coming alive out of that one. So, with Undertaker, believe it or not, I would love to have a buried alive match or a boiler room brawl match.
Oh, nice.
I saw those as a kid in '96, and I was just forever fascinated. And Undertaker is like my idol. I met him. He's the greatest thing ever. But that's the 2 matches I'd like to have with him. As far as Psychosis, Lucha time, baby. Lucha time. In the great words of Kevin Kleinrock, who says that. What's it called? I want to have that one match with him. Give me 10, 15 minutes, and I'm going to town, baby. I'm going to show everybody that, I still do Lucha. I still know Lucha. But I don't really showcase it a lot. I'm a heel. I'm a bad guy, so I have to tone it down in the ring. I can't really make people, cheer. It's more of a, boo, you suck. You don't do anything. Why would I like you? So, but with that match with Psychosis, I'm going all out. You know what I mean? I am a huge Psychosis fan. I love Psychosis.
No, that's really great. It's interesting you picked those 3 because they're so different their styles are so different with all of them.
Yeah.
And
Strong lucha, and then of course big man WWE work. You know what I mean? So yes, 3 different styles, all great styles.
which is awesome, and it shows the type of wrestler you are, so you could work with any kind of style, which is great. But going back to styles, who are influences? Like, who's the guys you look at tapes like, okay, I'm gonna copy about a little bit of this, take a little bit of that. Like, what are names that you study?
I know everybody's gonna do the whole cliche of like, oh, I watch Eddie Guerrero, I do this. I don't watch Eddie Guerrero. You know what I mean? Like, I got a lot of people that are on the bandwagon who weren't talking about Eddie Guerrero 10, 15 years ago. You know what I mean?
Yes, exactly.
But me, I watch guys like Brian Pillman. I watch guys like Goldust, Bret Hart, Owen. I'm stuck in this 96, 97 phase. So I watch a lot of that stuff. My trainer, Joey Chaos, who was in XPW before it folded, which is like the West Coast ECW.
Yes.
Joey Chaos was very instrumental in my career, and what he would always tell me is to stop watching the new stuff, the new shit, right? The new John Cena and, whoever, Batista stuff. He would say, go back, watch 10, 15, 20 years ago, because everything in wrestling is all cycle. It's a cycle. It goes round and round. It's all been done before. But people haven't seen a lot of the stuff because when when these new wrestlers come out, they study what they saw last week. I'm studying things that people have forgotten about. You know what I mean? I have my own school here in Albuquerque, New Mexico called Off the Ropes Pro Wrestling Academy. And I tell my guys, stop watching whatever you saw last week. Don't watch AEW. Don't watch WWE. Don't watch Impact. Go back and really, everybody has the network. It's $10. Get it. You know what I mean? You can pull up stuff from the 80s, the 90s, the 70s, the 60s. Like, there's so many things on that network that you could bring to life back today into your own wrestling. So that's what I do. You know what I mean? My character is based off of pretty much, I'm Gino Rivera. I'm a loudmouth guy. I have little man syndrome. I'm a guy that calls himself a pit bull, but we all know that dog that runs up to you and you step to the dog and he runs away. That's me. You know what I mean? So I know my character. We all knew that guy in school that would, talk and talk and talk and yap his mouth, and you'd be like, oh my God, if I had 5 minutes with that kid, I would kick his butt. And that's my character. I'm the loudmouth, and I get a lot of my promo work, my body gestures, my eyes, the way I move myself in the ring from Brian Pillman. Brian Pillman is deceased now, passed away, I believe, in 97 as well. And he was just one of the guys that I think people forget about and people don't even care to look at. His body of work, his art. But I am constantly watching pretty much everything he did with, like, just to heckle the ECW fans, the WWF fans, and Stone Cold Steve Austin, and how people really thought he was a loose cannon, how people thought he was losing his mind. And I want that same feeling too. When you see Gino Rivera, I don't want you to expect the expected. You know what I mean? I'm going to be a little bit unhinged and off the chain. So that's what I watch. Goldust. Why Goldust? People say, well, just the way he works, the way he wrestles, his character. You know what I mean? The facials. I don't watch people on. Well, I'm like a Samoan, so I gotta watch Umaga. I gotta watch the Usos. No, I can watch Yokozuna and see what a big man, how he works, you know what I mean, and how he works with a little guy, because I'm a smaller guy, so I got to study. So that's what I watch, if that helps you at all. Doink the Clown, Brian Pillman, Yoko, Jimmy Anvil, British Bulldog, Owen Hart, the whole Hart Foundation. I watch it.
No, that's very interesting, and you said it very well. In your character, when Alex and I went to Cactus League, we got all of that, in the first 2 minutes of the match, of your introduction, your promo, and we loved it. We loved every second of it. Do you think?
Do you guys remember who was out there with me during that promo?
What's his
Mark Henry.
Yes, it was.
Yep.
Who was a beast of a man, who was a giant. Oh my gosh. Like, his back is the size of a car. I saw him backstage. I was like, who the heck is that? He turns around. I was like, I know exactly who that is. Wow. He's really bigger than life, guys. This isn't just some normal guy walking around with, some weight on him. This is a huge car of a man. And I saw it. And I stepped in the ring with him. He almost took off his jacket and whipped my butt, but a little smarter than that to mess with the world's strongest man.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when I first, because I always see him on TV. I remember like when he had his role, like his championship reign, and then like seeing him, I'm like, oh my gosh, like he's huge, he's big, you know.
He is, and everything people tell you guys, he is constant professional. He is freaking Mark Henry, and he is one of the nicest, sweetest, humblest guys you'll ever meet in the business. That guy gives back, and he's paid his dues, and he cares about the future of wrestling. So I got nothing bad to say about that man. Mark Henry was excellent with me.
Yeah, he's awesome because I met him that same day, like because he did the meet and greet. Yeah. But I remember just like seeing him in the ring. I'm like, I'm not even in the ring with him. I'm like scared.
I was scared. Imagine being in my boots. My socks got wet.
I know.
But going back, also, you picked some names like Goldust and Pillman, who really knew the psychology of wrestling and knew how to throw that at the crowd, which you do so well. Do you think that's lacking now with the wrestlers?
I think everybody. So, and I'm guilty of it too. I think everybody watches highlight videos and they repeat what they see in highlight videos, and they don't let things breathe. They think it's just got to be PWG, 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 just dive. And, I was one of those guys. I was one of those guys jumping into every single move, not even letting it breathe, you know what I mean? And as you get older, it's true. I hear it so many times on so many podcasts. When you get older, all those bumps and bruises will catch up to you. I'm 32 going on 33, and it's the year 2020. I started in 2008, and literally, guys, I live in chronic pain. I'm sore all the time for no reason. You know what I mean? This is the life of a wrestler, and I think a lot of the guys don't understand that doing that stuff has a price, and when you do it, it's cool for the time being, you know what I mean? But in the long run, it'll catch up to you. As soon as that 30 hits, I swear to you, like, you blow out your candles, you're like, oh, my neck, you know what I mean? Like, that's how fast it hits you. So, yeah, I think the psychology with wrestlers today, there is none. They're not being taught it. They're just seeing spot after spot after spot. And, of course, it looks cool. You see it shared online and on TV and on YouTube. And, wow, that looks cool. But not a lot of these guys can tell stories in the ring. They don't know to work a body part. They don't know to let things breathe. It doesn't have to be 10 topes in a row. You know what I mean? You don't have to have a Young Buck match every single match. And even those guys slowed down from when I saw them on the independents in the same locker rooms with me. They're a lot better than they are today. You think they're great? They were way better back then. But I think, a lot of people aren't being taught psychology, or they're not training at all. Or they had a trainer who, didn't get taught himself or herself and didn't know to pass that psychology. So with my guys, we go through that. We're big on selling. We're big on, promos. We're big on letting things breathe. It doesn't have to be, backflip, get back in, tope, get back in, jump off the rope for a house show dive. It doesn't have to be. I'm speaking in wrestling terms. But, yeah, they need to let stuff breathe. It's different today.
And also, like, with, because we have, like, a lot of listeners that want to become, like, professional wrestlers. With you teaching your students in your school, what is the biggest lesson you could tell someone that wants to become a professional wrestler?
Oh, I love this question because it's so inspirational for myself. I remember being in that ring in 2008 and thinking to myself, can I do this? Why am I doing this to myself? Am I meant for it? Will I ever get signed? Will I ever surpass wherever I see myself? So what I tell my guys is don't worry about all that. You know what I mean? Take it day by day. And as far as getting through training, I mean, nothing comes easy. Nothing comes overnight. And I say, I have enough patience to deal with you guys, to sit here and watch you do something 100 times and say, it doesn't look right. Do it again. You know what I mean? And with that being said, I have enough patience to really give everyone a chance. You know what I mean? I never want anybody to come to my school and go, well, he just yelled at me, took my money, and told me I wasn't meant for it. No, I've got guys, 3 or 4 guys right now who are struggling that have been training for a year to 6 months. And there where someone that comes in and the first month, like, that's where they're at, and they've been training longer. And I still have the patience to go, no, I'm not giving up on you. You know what I mean? And for my other guys that are even better than, what they were when they started training, who are out on the loose right now tearing it up, I always tell them there's going to be days that you're going to want to quit, that this business is going to give you the biggest heartbreak in your life, and you're going to have your darkest days in this business, and you're going to think to yourself, I just quit. I don't want to do this anymore. I'm not getting anywhere. It's not making me money, and I'm losing my family. I lost my girlfriend, my husband, my wife, my kids. My answer to that is you just have to stick with it, because the day that you leave is the day that somebody else comes by and takes that spot that you were in, and they flourish in it. And it could be the day that the WWE was looking for you, AEW was looking for you, Impact Wrestling, New Japan, CMLL, AAA, whoever. The day that you decide to leave, whether it be your first day of training or your third year in the wrestling business, that's the day, hey, they go, hey, where was that such and such kid? Where was Alex? Oh, well, he quit yesterday. Oh, well, who's up here next? Oh, I'll take that guy. Here, I need you. I'll sign you. And it works like that, guys, So I always tell my guys, I know you're tired. I know you're in pain. I know you're bruised up and you want to quit and you're crying and you're snot bubbles everywhere and you're writing letters and I hate myself and all this, but stick with it. It'll work in the long run. I promise you. I've been here 11 years. I'm still going. And there's been days, dude, that I want to just give up and I don't want to do this anymore. And I'm like, this is a waste. What am I doing? I'm spending all my money traveling and doing hotels and rental cars, and it's not getting me anywhere. I'm having 5-minute matches and driving 6 hours for it. Is it worth it, Gino? And I go, you know what? Yeah, it is worth it. And if it's not, it'll be worth it in the long run. So stick with it is what I want to tell everyone getting into this business and currently in it. Stick with it.
Awesome. Yeah, like I said, like it's always about like I always say, timing is the key, especially with wrestling.
Yes.
And with you came from like Santino Brothers Academy.
Yeah.
And what was the most important thing you learned from them, and what was it like training over there?
It was rough. It was tough. These new guys that come into Santino Bros, they didn't have it like us. We had it rough, and we got beat up, and we got served, tough on a platter. Like, you need to be tough in this business to flourish, and we did. I was trained by Joey Chaos, and I hope I don't leave anybody here. I was trained by Santino Bros Wrestling Academy in Los Angeles, California, and Joey Chaos was the head trainer. Mongo Santino was the head trainer. Supreme, God rest his soul, he passed away this year. Robbie Phoenix, Angel Exotico. I was trained by Steve Payne, who's also on Lucha Underground. Carnage, Clay Motley, Jezebel. I know I'm leaving somebody else out, but I mean that's just on the top of. Oh, and BC Killer, who's a deathmatch wrestler out in Los Angeles too. I was literally trained by at least 2 handfuls of guys every single weekend for a year straight in 2008, and they made me who I am. I'm tough. I'll fight you. I'll wrestle you. I'll go to the time limit. And I think the reason why I'm still here is because they were so hard on me as a little guy, a skinny kid in a lucha mask. They were so tough on me that I had to make it. You know what I mean? And I did. I really did. So I owe everything to them. Santino Bros is the probably top school in the country. You know what I mean? If you're looking for a place to go, or looking for a place to start, you need to go to Santino Bros. We produced guys like Ray Rosas, Famous B, who is on Lucha Underground, Jake Atlas, who's currently signed to NXT, Brody King, who's on Ring of Honor, Tyler Bateman, who's on Ring of Honor. The list goes on. Like, guys, Thunder Kitty, who was on GCW, Eli Everfly, who's pretty much on every little local, scene. I'm still here. There's a lot of guys out of Santino Bros. So that's probably the #1 school in the country to go. I recommend them. I'm not just saying this just to, give my trainer a little nudge. I'm telling you the truth. We produce stars. And whenever you see those colors, whenever you see those words, that logo, we demand respect, we get respect, and we give it. So, That's all that needs to be said about that.
Yeah, I agree. Like, in my opinion, I think it's probably the best wrestling school in the world. And also, like, what is the things that you've brought from them that you bring into your school?
I love my teacher's sayings that I bring to them, and part of that is stuff that can also be applied to real life. Joey Chaos would say, "Treat yourself, don't cheat yourself," and you can apply that to everywhere, right? Instead of taking the shortcut, take the long way. Feel proud that you took the long way to get to your destination is what that means. You know what I mean? If you got 100 sets of push-ups or whatever, if you got, I got to hit 50 today, and you go, I'm just going to hit 49. Or if you say, I did 50, but you only did 30, you cheated yourself. Treat yourself. Reward yourself. Hit that 50. When you hit that 50, hey, give 5 more. Treat yourself. Go, I surpassed my goal. You know what I mean? Another saying that I like was, how bad do you want it? And I tell my students that all the time when they're crunched up in a ball and they're holding their ribs and I can't do another freaking crunch. I can't do another sit-up, coach. I'm like, how bad do you want it? Because I want it. A lot of people want it. A lot of people say they want it, but they don't put in the work. And that's another saying right there is my coach, Joey Chaos, would say, put in the work. You guys want it? Put in the work. You're never going to get anything in life if you don't put in the work. You're not going to get paid from your job if you don't work, right? You need to put in that work to get that paycheck. The same way you guys need to pay your dues in wrestling to get where you need to go. Treat yourself. Don't cheat yourself. Hit that extra set. You know what I mean? Don't take a shortcut. Take the long way. How bad do you want to be a wrestler? Prove it to me. Don't talk about it. Don't brag about it online. Show me. Take those miles. Put it on your car. Put it on your body. Spend the money. You know what I mean? Show your worth to wrestling. Because wrestling doesn't owe you anything. So you're not going to just get anything, by not putting in the work. You gotta earn it. And that's one of the greatest things they taught me, those pretty much 4 sayings,
Yeah, I mean, I think those are the most important too, because it goes from everywhere in life, So that's really cool to hear, because it's very inspirational what you're saying, especially wrestlers are listening to this, they're gonna get a lot out of it,
I get a lot of people that jump in my DM and they're just like, man, you're so inspirational. Like, just everything you said, I felt, you know what I mean? From the wrestling to the post, from the pro tips, even through my music, you know what I mean? It's all inspirational. And I pride myself on being a realist, you know what I mean? Like, there's nothing fake about me other than, what the obvious is, but the real person, there's nothing fake about me. You can relate to me. You know what I mean? I've had guys sit me down. I've had fans sit me down and tell me, man, thank you. You just, everything you say, I felt. And I love that. You know what I mean? I love when someone can relate to me, because that's what makes a fan for life. That's what makes a friend for life. You know what I mean? Like, somebody has to go through things and talk about it, because there's somebody out there going through something that can't talk about it, but they don't feel comfortable talking about it until they hear somebody else go, hey, I've been through that. And then they go, wow, Gino's been through that. I've been through that too. And I felt everything he said. And I want to get to know that guy. And when they do, they see that, of course, I'm a realist. You know what I mean? And they love that. And I enjoy that. So anytime any fan, wrestler, whatever, doesn't even have to be a fan or a wrestler, just any person can relate to me and wants to talk about anything, I'm out there, man. I'm open. I got nothing to hide. I can just tell you from just in a few freaking seconds of how I can relate to people, which would knock their block off. My mom's a hooker. My brother was murdered. I got drug addicts and alcoholics in my family. And, that's something that everybody can relate to in a couple of seconds. And we can sit down and touch all bases of those subjects that I just dropped on you guys. And somebody will relate to me listening to this or talking to me right now,
No, that's amazing. I'm speechless from hearing that, and I really admire your love and passion for wrestling, and how you could put all your life stories and push that on other people, that you're not alone, that I've been through it also. I really, really admire that.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy, because it's like I am a heel. I'm a bad guy. I'm a villain. I've been a villain for 10 plus years. I've been a baby face, a good guy for 1 year. But people are like, how can you be a villain when you're so likable? When you're so, dude, like, I like the person. I don't like the wrestler, but I like the person. How can I boo you? How can I hate you? I like what you say. I like what you talk about. And, that's the hard part. That's always the bad part. It's like, oh, God, like, you're right. But, then again, it's a show. You know what I mean? It's just a show, and you're allowed to like a bad guy. That's okay.
Oh yeah, I agree. Especially like when we saw you wrestle in Cactus, we became fans right away. And then when we got home, like we started looking you up and like all your matches and everything. And I want to talk about like the things you've done because you did a lot for WWE. You did a lot of stuff for them. What was that like? And then I want to talk about also with your match in 205 Live when you faced in a tag team match with Matt Leak and Lindsay Dorado. What was that like, and how did that come about?
What do you mean? Like you want to talk about the 205 Live thing?
Yes.
So I'll get very detailed in that. I was just literally relaxing at home, watching wrestling as I always am. I'm sitting in my office right now, and this is my own little man cave. I wish you guys could see this. This is amazing. But I was watching wrestling, and I got a call from one of my mentors. Can't really say who it is, but he knows exactly who he is. He hates being acknowledged because that's just not his thing. But thank you so much, sir. You know who you are. He called me, and he's like, hey, kid, I got a spot for you. How fast can you be here? And I'm like, what do you mean? And he's like, I need you here on this day. And I was like, do I have a choice? Yeah, I'll be there, of course. So I get there, and it's the WWE. And, of course, I'm nervous. This is my dream. This is what I've worked my whole life, to be, I've worked there in the past, but this time was different. I wasn't expecting a match, but I was expecting something. But as you know, in life, you never expect anything. You just go into it hoping and wishing and praying, and whatever happens, happens, right? So that's what happened with me. I heard what was going to happen, but I wasn't sure. Then, we got dressed, and they were like, hey, guys, welcome, blah, blah, blah. I need everybody to gear up, meet me down to the ring before the show starts. And I'm like, okay, you know what I mean? And got my gear on, and next thing you know, it's Dean Malenko, it's Billy Kidman, guys I grew up watching, Jinder Mahal, Baron Corbin, AJ Styles, the New Day. They're all just pretty much around the ring, not watching us, but they're doing their thing, they're working, and here we are calling our matches and stuff like that, and Dean Malenko's like, I want you with this guy. And I was like, okay, and then all of a sudden they tricked us and they switched all the matches around, right? They were like, okay, you, and they were like, what we called who cares? This is who you're working with now. And I was like, I'm okay with that. I can call stuff on the fly, on the spot in the ring, and got in the ring, and I had a great match. And then there was an odd man out, and the guy was like, I don't have an opponent. And I slid literally in the ring. I went freaking full on, those referees that save the matches, they slide and, they go halfway into the ring.
Yeah.
That Rivera slid into the ring when they said, who wants to go in there with him? And I got a second try. A lot of these guys, they call it tryouts, but I don't think they're a tryout. I think they're just to see what you can do. A lot of guys get the terminology messed up and say, I had a tryout with the WWE. It wasn't a tryout. It was just get in the ring, show us what you can do. So I slid in there, called this match on the fly. Everything was good, and then Dean Malenko was like, you, and he calls this guy, Evan Daniels, and me, Gino Rivera, down, and he's like, come here, guys. And I was like, oh, man, what do we do? I'm going to get kicked out, or they're going to tell us to go home. And sure enough, Billy Kidman was like, how much do you weigh? And I was like, 160 pounds, sir. And Dean Malenko was like, you move like a cat. And I was like, thank you. And he's with his raspy voice, and he has a toothpick in his mouth, and he has one hand in his pocket, and he's just like, oh, how do you say cat in Spanish? And I was like, gato. And he's like, think of a name in Spanish to call yourself. And I said, oh, but my name's Gino Rivera. And he's like, yeah, no. Like, okay. So basically, he went up to Grand Metalik, and he's like, how do you say like cat or cat heart or whatever, and I don't know. They said something, and all of a sudden something called Corazon Delgado or Delgado Corazon, and I was like, what the hell is that? It's like something cat heart or something, you know? And I was like, what the heck? I was like, why can't I go by Gino Rivera? They're like, yeah, no. And I was like, okay. And then my tag partner, Evan Daniels, I was like, hey, what's your silly name? He's like, Evan Daniels. I was like, so your name. But they said, not, oh, okay, I see what we're doing here. So basically, we went backstage, we got dressed, and they were just like, hey, you're going to have a match with Lindsay Dorado, who's one of my buddies from, you know, just seeing him work on the independents, and Gren Metalik, who's one of the best luchadors in the world. And literally coming down, I work in Arizona, so, like, everyone knows who I am. I do TV out there for Championship Wrestling from Arizona. I'm the longest Arizona State champion, 315 days, by the way. And I go out, walking down the ring. I get no entrance music, not even some generic music. It was just dark lights come in, and all of a sudden all the fans are like, that's Gino Rivera! Hi, Gino! Hi, Gino! I'm trying to take pictures and stuff like that, and I'm trying not to look at them because we were told specifically, hey, don't get over, just, you know, this is what you're going to do, and, you know, don't play to the crowd. And I'm like, okay. So basically everyone's calling me, Gino Rivera! Gino, hi, Gino, Jack and Pest, Gino, look over here. And I'm just like, I can't. You know what I mean? So,
yeah.
Oh, but, and, you know, the music hits, and you hear the and I was like, oh, man, dude, like, this is unreal. Like, I'm living my freaking dream. Like, what the hell is life, you know? And they come in, and we have our match, and it was the fastest 7-8 minutes of my life. They didn't squash me. They didn't drop me out. They let me do my thing. I remember Dean Malenko in the back telling me, he goes, yeah, just do your thing, but don't get over. Don't do anything crazy. Just work with them. And, you know, and they let me do a few spots, and, you know, but it wasn't anything crazy like I could do. Trust me, if they would have said something like, oh, go out there and have fun, kid, I would have freaking literally had fun. I would have been doing all kinds of crazy stuff to get signed, but I was told specifically what to do. So, me following directions, I'm good at following directions. I did. And, yeah, so they pinned me with a shooting star press, which hurt like hell. You can see it on my face. You can see it on my body. I laid there, and I was just like, thank you, God. You know what I mean? I was so happy. My dream came true, and, guys, it's one of the best moments of my life. I've worked my whole life to be there, and I was in that ring. I was under those bright lights, hot bright lights. God, I wish I tanned because I was white as a ghost, and I almost disappeared when I took a back body drop and landed on my legs and almost broke my legs. But it was fun, man. Like 205 Live, the biggest, highest accomplishment I've ever did in wrestling was just working for the WWE. You know, so it helps, you know, also on the independent bookings. Like, hey, brother, I did this, and they're like, oh, here's another $100, you know, whatever. So that also helps, but it was the greatest thing ever, you know. I just remember Billy Kidman saying, why'd you do this? Why'd you do that? Oh, that looked like, you know, that looked terrible. This looked bad. And I'm just like, but I grew up watching you, sir. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. Billy Kidman was a great guy, but he wasn't really high on me. Dean Malenko was very high on me, so. I talk too much. I'm Puerto Rican. I'm sorry.
No, we love it, man. We love it. But especially like all the stuff you did, like especially like you were in the with No Way Jose in the Royal Rumble, and then you get thrown off like with Drew McIntyre. Like, what was that like?
Oh gosh, you guys. So we have time for that, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Right. So that day was just a really. It was another memorable experience. Every day working with the WWE, and guys, I've been working with the WWE since 2014. Pretty much every single year since 2020. Even 2020, which I worked with Goldberg in February, and then I wrestled Gilbert the next month. Crazy, right? Anyway.
That's awesome.
I just remember working the Royal Rumble, being in the stadium, and I'm like, or actually getting to the stadium, and I couldn't get in, and I was like, I'm lost. I'm going to miss my call time. I need it. And I was running around a baseball stadium looking for the entrance, and it was the worst thing ever, dude. I was like, never again. I'll just catch an Uber. So I ran in my little slippery shoes that I was slipping and sliding all over. Finally got there. I'm at the baseball field. Everybody's waiting. Nice to see you, Gino. I'm like, oh gosh, I'm in trouble. I get to the field. It's huge. There's seats galore, and I'm like, they're not gonna fill this whole thing, are they? Yeah, right. They filled every seat, and I just remember looking up from the skybox, and I was like, everyone is here. Wow, this is crazy. And them needing a spot, and Drew McIntyre was gonna beat up somebody in the conga line, and everybody was big and muscled out and oiled up, and here comes this skinny looking Latin boy and walking around, and they're like, you're gonna get thrown by Drew McIntyre. And I was like, me? And they're like, yes, you. And sure enough, Drew's like, okay, who's the guy I'm throwing? And I go up and, hi, I'm Gino. And he's like, okay, are you okay with a suplex over your head? And I was like, sure, sure, whatever. And all of a sudden, like, during the course of hours, like, they were like, okay, we're not going to do that anymore. And I'm like, oh my God, I told everybody I'm going to be on TV. So now I'm texting everybody, I'm not going to be on TV. And all of a sudden they come back and she was like, hey, we're still going to throw you, right? You're the one. I was like, they told me I'm not to. He goes, no, fuck that. I'm throwing you. And I was like, but they said, he goes, I'll be right back. Goes back to production. They come back, hey, you're getting thrown by Drew again. I'm like, oh God. So I text everybody, I'm going to be on TV, whatever. And then all of a sudden they tell me again, hey, the spot is basically nixed. We're not going to do that. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like, this is horrible. Please let me do this spot. I prayed in those hallways, guys. You have no idea. I was praying. I was like, please. Sure enough, Drew's like, the spot's back on. I'm throwing you. And I was like, thank you. He's like, be ready. I'm going to throw you the hell out of the stadium. And I was like, okay. And sure enough, when it was time to go, I was doing the whole conga line, right? No, wait. Jose, no, wait. I hope you guys are clapping. Anyway. But we did the spot, and he beat up one of my buddies, and all of a sudden I see him, and I look down, I look up. Before you know it, I'm on the ground on concrete holding my butt bone, my tailbone, and I was in the worst pain of my life. And I just remember just holding my ass going, I broke my ass. He threw me. He was supposed to throw me over his head. He threw me on the side, and I hit like those big tall barricades that keep falling into the entranceway. There's guardrails, but I just remember my legs swinging and then my butt just hitting like just ass first, and I'm just like, yeah, I'm gonna need a doctor tomorrow. You know what I mean? But it was the greatest experience ever, and gosh, I loved it. I don't regret a second of it.
Yeah, I mean that's awesome, man. Like just all the things you've done, and like did with everything you did, like with that, and then you're also like part of the rap battle to with New Day and Usos. Like what was that like? Also,
I was backstage for that, and they were trolling each other. Usos and New Day, greatest day. If you guys can just be a fly on the wall and let them talk and let them laugh and tell their jokes, and it was just so much fun. Those guys. I was just an extra. I was the sailor man. That was the only thing they had left in props that fit me. So I was like, I'm just gonna be a sailor and throw on my cool little shades that I came here with. And the whole day, Usos are like, "What are you gonna say, Us?" And then New Day and Usos, they go back and forth like, "Don't worry about what we're gonna say. You can see when we get out there." And then every time they pass each other in catering in the hallway, they're like, "What are you gonna say, Us?" And the other one was like, "Don't worry about it. Stop asking." Instead of we're all backstage in a room, and we're like, "Okay, you say one line, I'll say one line." And they said one line, the other said one line. And then we were so loud backstage that everybody was like, shut the fuck up! Be quiet! And we're like, oh shoot, right? And they're like, say another one. They're like, no, you can find out the rest when we go out there. And sure enough, when we go out there, guys, you could see me dancing a fool. I can't dance to save my life, but I was dancing. And when we get out there, it was just pandemonium. It was crazy being in the audience, being, like just the audience, like vibing from the freestyles that they were talking about. And I did not know that one line was going to come. When he said it, I even panicked. I was like, ooh, we're all in trouble. You know what I mean? So,
that's awesome. Don't mean to cut you off there. Looks like there's going to be a part 2 of this interview, so you just pause for 1 second.
You got it.